So in a lot of games, what we have as soon as they are open is basically a tutorial scene, okay, in which the player starts to understand how they move, how they can actually use the different mechanics, for example Minecraft, how to craft, how the inventory works, all that. So I will show you how you can do something like this, but inside of Godot. So this is the example scene or example game that I'm gonna be using, directly downloaded from the internet. So this is a game that maybe you have seen. It's basically a first-person shooter. Okay, you can jump, you have double jump, you have some platforms over here, you have some enemies. Okay, so how can we actually introduce a tutorial? First of all, how we usually tend to do it is that, okay, we identify which is the first level or the gameplay scene. So in this case, it is the main scene. So the key thing here is that, okay, we want to first start off the game in the tutorial scene and then move on the gameplay scene. And this gameplay scene can either be the level 1 scene, in the case that it is a level-based game, or just the main scene, okay, if it is an endless game. And the first step for this is firstly designing the tutorial. You can either do it manually, start thinking on your own, create a Word document and do it directly there, or you can also help yourself with some AI. So for example, you could use something like this. I have an FPS game with platformer mechanics. I want to add a quick and simple tutorial to teach the player the different mechanics. For example, movement with WASD, jumping on platforms, equipping the weapon, shooting, killing enemies, etc. Okay, so you can give here the AI some ideas. By the way, something also pretty interesting about tutorials is that you have two ways of creating a tutorial. So the first way is an interactive tutorial, okay, and the other is a static tutorial, okay, and you probably already understand what the differences are. So the static tutorial is the one that you may have just like a screen, okay, with the different instructions, okay. So I don't know, you move with W, you then with A, S, D, whatever it is, and it's basically static. We have the text. This is the least recommended way of creating tutorials. How you should actually be creating your tutorials in most cases would be in an interactive way. And the main thing here is that here the user, okay, learns by doing. That's the key thing here. So you don't have any kind of text, or you may have a text like a helper text or text, okay, but you already have like the player in the scene with the weapon, maybe the platforms, the other enemies or whatever they are. So it's already in-game, okay, it's interactive. That's the type of tutorial that 99% of cases you should be trying to implement in your games, and you will see it's not that difficult. And here we actually have some ideas, even some example code. In this case, it was given in C# for Unity, but we could even have some code in GDScript. So now that you understand that the type of tutorial that you probably want is an interactive tutorial, and that you have indeed designed a tutorial, what we have to do is to start creating the tutorial, okay? So this is the step that we're gonna be following right now. So first of all, as I mentioned, we will need some kind of tutorial scene. So for this, what I'm gonna do is actually duplicate this main scene, and I will just delete some elements. So I will go to the scenes folder over here. I will right click on the main scene, and I will duplicate it, okay, and I'm gonna call it tutorial, okay. Then I'm gonna open it up, okay, here it says tutorial. I'm gonna rename the root node to tutorial, and I'm just gonna be deleting some stuff. So for example, for platforms, let me just delete literally all platforms, and I will just keep maybe just one platform, okay, and then I will duplicate it, okay. I also have in this game, by the way, like falling platforms, but yes, I'm not really gonna be teaching that, okay, in the tutorial. Of course you can do it, I just want to make it as straightforward as possible. And by the way, I will also make sure I leave some decoration, like these clouds, this world environment, because this kind of purple sky is probably in this world environment node. Yes, there it is. So I will keep those elements, as well as at least one enemy that then I can use. And yeah, now what we can do is run the current scene with this button, and I wanna see how the tutorial currently looks like. So it's basically like this. So it does look pretty empty, but what we will notice is that when you run the project, you will probably start off in the scene that is not the tutorial. So we have to change the main scene by going to project settings, run, and here in main we can change it to tutorial. Okay, there we go. So now when we run the project, we will indeed start off in the tutorial scene. Okay, that's cool. Now the first thing that probably you want your player to understand is the input. Okay, so in this case, what I want to do is just put some text at the very top that gives me the instructions, like, okay, move with WASD, for example. Okay, so I'm gonna be doing it like that. So for this, what I'm gonna be doing is the following. First of all, here's the platform. Okay, so this is cool. What I'm gonna do is that inside of this platform, I'm gonna right click and add a new node over here, and I just want some walls, invisible walls. So I'm gonna add a static body. I will add inside of it a collision shape 3D, and I will add here a box. Okay, then I will just make this a little bit bigger, like this, matching the width of the platform approximately. And I will just firstly put all these walls, okay, around this first platform, because I don't want my player to kind of be able to fall from the sky. So I'll just make sure this is like this. We can, for example, also turn off the world environment for right now, so we can actually just reset it, okay, just so that we can see these collisions a little bit better. So here it is. Okay, when we play, the player should not be able to fall. Okay, this is perfect. Okay, let's now restore this world environment. There it is. Okay, and here is our first step of the tutorial. Now let's actually add a script here, completely empty, and I'm gonna start actually creating the tutorial logic. So I already have a HUD over here which has this crosshair and the health. So the crosshair is basically this thing that is in the middle, and then the health at the very bottom. So in this case, what I'm gonna do is directly in this HUD over here, I'm gonna add a new element, which is gonna be a label, and I'm gonna call it tutorial label. Okay, I will just style it a little bit. So this is how it looks like. This is an instruction, then we will modify this text. And what we need to do here is to determine, okay, when do we want to show this, how, all that. But firstly, let's actually grab a reference to this tutorial label with an onReady variable, which will basically grab this label. So tutorial label. I like putting their label just in case. Well, not just in case, because it looks better. And I will do, in reality, we can just do it like this, hold down Control before releasing, and here we have the reference. Okay, there it is. And another thing that I want to do is to add an export variable, which will be tutorial texts. And this is going to be an array of strings. Okay, now here, if we save the changes, we can see the array. So the idea is that here we add the different texts. Okay, so in this case, the first text is going to be move with WASD. Okay, then I created very simple functions to basically just fade in the label and fade it out using twins. And the first thing that I will also do is here in the tutorial label, I will also just make sure that it starts completely faded out so that you cannot actually see it, but no, this shouldn't be actually here. This should be in the modulate, or here, visibility, modulate, bye, there it is. So it's completely kind of hidden, but the object is still kind of active. And now using timers, we're gonna actually kind of start the sequence. So first of all, I'm gonna create a brand new node just to organize everything. I'm gonna call it timers. Actually, yes, timers. And I will add inside a timer. So I will call it movement timer. And let's say that Okay, we want to, as soon as the game starts, fade in the label, okay, with this text, okay, with the first text, and we want it to be like there for 3 seconds, okay. I'm gonna press or start, and I will connect the signal to the tutorial scene, okay. So first of all, here I actually have a duration parameter, but let's just not use it. I will just use a default duration of 0.5 for both the fade in and the fade out. And what I will do is that, okay, when this movement timer, or actually first of all, let's put the ready, and when this starts, I want to fade in the label, and also make the tutorial label dot text equal to tutorial text and the 0 element, the first element. So when this timer is finished, what I want to do is basically just fade out the label, okay. And in reality, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put it this thing over here, and what I'm gonna do is tutorial text. I'm gonna put it as a parameter, okay. And this is gonna be an integer. Here it is. Here's gonna be the 0. I'm doing just the same thing. Int over here. This is the final code. By the way, if you just want to kind of copy paste it or wherever you want, you can pause the video. Here we have the first text that's gonna be used. Just move with WASD. That's good. And we press play. Did this move with WASD, and after 3 seconds it fades out. Of course, we can modify all timings, okay. We can say, okay, let's make it last 5 seconds, for example. And what if we want to delay this call? We can just do get3.createTimer 1.5 to add a small delay over there, or we could even have created like 2 different timers directly in the hierarchy, but it's gonna do the exact same thing. But in this case, get3.createTimer. Oh, but here I didn't add a wait, okay, so this is gonna actually pause 1.5 seconds and then fade in. And here it should be. Oh, I didn't add here dot time out, okay. Basically wait until this timer has finished. There it is, and here it is, okay. So as you can see, it looks pretty well. Now 5 seconds and this disappears. Perfect. Okay, so basically with this logic, you can now add as many steps as you want. So when this finishes, okay, we fade out the label, okay. And not only do we want to do this, but remember that also we want to disable these walls that we've added over here. Where is it? Enemies, here it is, okay. So we actually want to just disable all these walls. In reality, what I'm gonna do, there's no need to use different static bodies, so I will just add all these collisions inside of just one static body. I will delete these ones, okay. Yeah, there they are. And what I'm gonna do is just add all these collisions to a group. So I will add it to a group. I will call this one first tutorial step collision. And I will just go ahead and add them to this group. So here, okay, what I'm gonna do is that, okay, when while it is fading out, basically the first step has finished, so they already know how to move. I'm gonna disable this one. So what I'm gonna do is use a for each loop. So I'm gonna call it collision in get3.get nodes in group. I'm gonna copy this name and put it over there. So what I'm basically doing with this line is, okay, get all these nodes under this variable, which is called collision. So what I'm gonna do is basically do, and this is gonna be of type, this is gonna be of type collision shape 3D. So what I'm gonna do is collision dot disable equals true, okay, so that everything is disabled. There we go. So remember that as soon as this starts, I cannot exit it, but then when this fades out, I am going to be able to do it. As you can see there, I've fallen, okay? Why I've done it like this? Because the next thing I want to teach is jumping, so I will just add some platforms. So what I'm gonna do is duplicate this platform. I don't want it to have this static body anymore. Let's use snapping in this case to move these. So let's just move them over here. Something like this. Let's just add 2. Okay, there it is. Now I want to add a second text. In this case, jump with space. Okay. And what I want to do here is to add a small delay. Or in reality, what I'm gonna be able to do is, rather than using here this index, what I'm gonna do is use an int. So variable current tutorial step, an integer, and I'm gonna use it over here. And I'm gonna create a new function, which is gonna be go to next tutorial step. And in this case, what we want to do is just basically, well, not, I just wanted to kind of make the system a little bit more modular, but you know, it's gonna take a little bit more time, and I don't think it's worth it right now. So the only thing I wanna do here is also a wait a little bit. So this is what I wanted to avoid, but anyway, let's just wait here for another, I don't know, 1.5 seconds, and then I'm gonna fade in the label again with this current tutorial step, but here before doing it I want to increase it, okay? Because remember that then when we are fading in the label, the text, okay, we are using the text from the array, so we want to use the next one, the next element. So in this case it's gonna be using the second text, jump with space. So we can now play this game and we should be able to see it. So we cannot exit it, move with W, A, S, and D. Okay, jump with space. Okay, we're jumping, here we go. And okay, here got another error. Get index 2. But I believe this is because this is not set to one shot. So yes, this should only be played once. Okay, so let me maximize this. There we go. Jump with space, that's cool. Now we can exit it. Okay, and here it is. Okay, we didn't tell it to do anything else. So this is cool. Now, rather than, for example, creating here a way to get rid of create a timer, we could have created just a new timer and started it over here and connected a new timeout function. Let's actually do it like this because I think it's a little more organized. So let's call it, this one's gonna be the jump timer. Let's go to signals, disconnect it and connect it again to a brand new function. Let's get it over here. And once again, release it before releasing it. Okay, I'm holding down now control and then I release it so that I get a reference right away. So what I'm gonna do over here is jump timer. Once again, set it to, well, it's already set because I've duplicated one shot. I don't want it to auto start. And let's give it a delay of 2, for example. So rather than doing this, what I want to do is start this timer. Dot start. And here I want to do it. So as you can see, it kind of starts to be a little bit clearer. So here it is, okay? And in reality, I'm gonna call this one start jump timer because it's just a little bit clearer. So I'm gonna move this thing over here. Start jump timer and start jump timer and start jump timer. Okay. So once again, here we have it. We cannot exit it. Now we can jump with space. Here it is. So the exact same logic, but a little bit better distributed. This is okay. So how much time do we want the jump with space text to be displayed for? That's gonna be determined by another timer. So stop jump timer. Let's give it 3.5 seconds. And what we want to do here, we want to fade out the label and start off a new fade in. So in this case, we want to fade in label with this. I'm gonna copy it over here and we want to go to the next text. Okay. So in this case, the third text is gonna be click to shoot. Okay, for example. So I fade it out, but I want to wait a couple of seconds before fading in again, because if not, what you will see is that they are gonna kind of overlap. Okay. There we go, jump with space. And it should disappear. Why it's not working? Let me check. So it's faded in. It's not fading out for some reason. But this is because this timer has never been initialized. So we have to once again reference it over here. Once again, you are seeing that this code has a lot of code duplication. So it's not very clean. We should have a better system to do it. But you know, it's just like an example. Okay. So when this starts, I want to show you this. Move WASD, that's good. Then we can jump with space, perfect. And now we can click to shoot, but as you can see, like the fade ins and fade outs didn't look that good. This is because we are fading out the previous label and at the same time we are trying to fade it in. So we actually have to wait until this one has finished. So in this case, let's once again just add a delay of, let's say, 1.5 seconds or a little bit less. So 1 second. Once again, it's not good logic, okay? So just for you to know that this logic could have been a little bit more solid, but it is what it is, okay? That would take way more time. So once again, jump with space. Now we can click to shoot, so we can kill this guy. Oh, I believe that, well, the weapon has some kind of range or whatever it is. But well, there it is, okay? I believe that you understand where this goes. So let's just try to put this enemy a little bit closer to the last platform. So let's just move it over here, and over here. Let's move it down a little bit, and let's just rotate it to make it face the player, something like this. There it is. Okay, that's cool. So let's see if now we can shoot at this enemy. Move. Oh, I was able to jump on top of these platforms, then I will fix that. But anyway, jump with space. So we are jumping, and now click to shoot, so we can kill that guy. That's good. And after that, we can actually finalize the tutorial. So how exactly? But first of all, let me just make sure that these collisions are a little bit taller, because if you take a look, they are not tall enough. The player can jump over them. So let's select these collisions and let's just make them higher. Just something like that. I don't care about optimization, so I know that the collision there is a little bit too big, but anyway. Okay, there it is. Let's save this, and now let's just test it out. But I shouldn't be able to jump outside. That's perfect. What I'm gonna do now is load this in once again. And what I want to do is, okay, once we kill this enemy, we want to kind of go to the main scene. So we have the enemy flying, okay, which is over here. And here, well, if we take a look at the code, we should see here some destroy function, okay, which is doing this, okay. So what I'm gonna do is just emit a signal on destroyed, And what I'm gonna do is here on destroy, I will just emit it. So on destroyed.emit. And then over here, I'm gonna listen to it. So on destroyed tutorial, and what I want to do here is fade out the label, okay? Wait 1 second, for example, or even a little bit more, maybe 1.5. And after this, I just want to go to the main scene. There we go. And like this, we should have our tutorial finalized, but let's check it out. Move with W, A, S, and D. Okay, so now we can jump with space, and we can click to shoot, and there it is, fade it out, and now we are in the main scene. Okay, of course this can be way more polished, okay, than what I've just done, but you know, it's more than worth it, okay, and more than interesting for you to understand how you can at least set up a tutorial, and with what you have learned, you are now good to go to create your own tutorial. So the cool thing is that also if you go to the description of this video, what you're gonna be seeing is this link to enjoy 1 month free and 60% off your first month in Skillshare, okay, where you're gonna be able to access all my Godot game development courses, okay. So here you can check them all out with just 1 subscription, so that's pretty interesting. You don't have to be paying dozens of different subscriptions, but if you still want to access these different courses by separate, you can get them also on Udemy. So these are all my Godot game development courses, so you can check them all out, okay. So you can see, for example, this one has 50 students, 4.5 in ratings, so pretty interesting. I even have a ChatGPT course and a Python and a Unity course over here, okay. So make sure that you check them out.